Little legs dangling.
And my little legs too. We both got little legs dangling.
Little legs.
Both little
legs.
tiny legs.
What did I do last
Dev,
year?
I don't know. Just which one? What do you think? Are we going to contrast? I think the black will probably contrast best because
Do black.
I think that doesn't go with that.
It goes with the pocket square.
The pocket square.
And also the jumper.
The jumper.
Did I tell you about these pocket squares?
No.
You probably think, oh, he's folded that well, hasn't he? I know, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I do pay attention to detail,
he's
clearly.
folded that well. Hold on. What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little mini wallet, but it isn't.
So,
Is that the laziness that we've got now?
I
That
just don't know how to fold them, but you can get loads on Amazon, all different.
I like them fanned. I'm more of a fanned pocket.
You can get like the triangle, you can get like the 3 triangles.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just never know what you can get these days, and you never know when someone's faking it. Yeah, you probably looked at me today thinking, oh, he's folded that really well.
I'll tell you what, if
Faker.
somebody's actually looking that closely into you, Dev, your fans and admirers are a lot stranger than I thought they would be.
I'd imagine.
Why are you always starting arguments on Twitter, by the way, or X? Who did you rattle the other day? I opened up X. Was it Billy Nelson? Did you start on him? Was it?
I didn't start anything.
You made a comment, didn't you? First of all, you're stirring up stuff with Uncle Frank, Big Frank, I like to call him, in the office about Martin Bacoli. Then did you say something on X?
Look, Martin Bacoli came in very heavy, okay? That is universally accepted, okay? I like to do puns. I like little plays on words, okay? And I just quote tweeted...
You like to shit stir?
Well, I just like to make little jokes. Take it light-hearted, right? I just said something like, I think Billy did an interview talking about... They're going to get him an
S&C coach, yeah, saw it.
What a brainwave that is to come up with that, but...
We're back there. We was talking about you and Billy Nelson before the cards.
No, we weren't. No, you're causing trouble.
Your relationship that you have on X, how you put out these tweets and...
This was a harmless tweet. This was just a funny tweet. Look,
about his waist.
Yes, about his waist. Listen, Martin Bacoli came in very heavy, okay? I like Martin Bacoli. I like Billy Nelson. Whenever I've been around them, like, we get on well, and Martin Bacoli seems a lovely fella. We cannot get away from the fact that he came in very fat in his last fight.
Yeah.
We cannot get away from the fact that he came in very fat for the fight before that. I've said a couple of things. I said, maybe he's lost the hunger. Okay. Look, he's made a few quid,
Dave.
right? No, he has. He's made a few quid. He's getting paid well, I would hope, for these fights that he's taken, and he's probably made more money than he ever thought he would. So there's a chance that he's lost his hunger, therefore doesn't want to train as hard and get the weight down. Whatever. The joke that I made that Billy came back at was I just quote tweeted a Billy interview talking about he's getting an S&C trainer now, which is fantastic idea, or real brainwave to do that, which is good news. And I just said, let's hope he isn't a waste of talent. And I spelt it not waste.
Midriff.
I said, it's harmless, just a stupid little joke, just a stupid little bit of wordplay.
You said that he's been coming for Joel Joyce.
Well, that's it, yeah.
And I think that's where we got to. He was coming for Joel Joyce, and which was the other fighter?
Daniel Dubois.
I do apologise, the world champion, IBF world champion.
Billy's done a good job for Martin Bacoli in terms of like creating this image that he's the boogeyman of the heavyweight division. That would no doubt have helped him get these big fights. But yeah, he's been poking and prodding at Daniel and Joe Joyce for years. Go and ask Sam Jones about what his mentions would look like on Twitter and whatnot. And I'm not having a go. I'm just, sometimes you've got to take a little moment to have a little poke back. And looks like I poked a bear.
When you look at, obviously Billy Nelson's done a really good job because he's got Martin into rooms. Obviously, so he took out, I think he's got Richard Riatpour as well. He's recently took him on. When you look at Martin as a fighter, when he's in better shape, he is quite dangerous. But when I saw him get on the scales, I thought, you kind of like it was kind of written what was going to happen. Because I'm going to be totally honest, I don't think a Jagber's that much of a good fight either. Good fighter, good boxer. And I thought that if Bacoli was potentially more in shape, that he probably would have won it fair and square. I don't know. What do you think?
Why wasn't he in shape?
Well, that's the
my
question,
thing.
isn't it?
Why would you not just turn up in shape? I don't understand it. And yeah, I agree with you. When he's at optimal weight, I don't know what that weight is, but
Tony Yoka, Jared Anderson, good fight.
the Jared Anderson win was tremendous, right? That looked like it.
That put him on the map.
Right now, that is the best win of his career. He's got to make sure that doesn't end up just being the best win of his career when he retires, because talent-wise, etc., it looks like he can give more. But my whole theory on this is that I think he's made more money than he ever thought he would, and now he's kind of happy. And you need to be hungry. You need it. Look, it's not just Martin Bacoli. It happens to all sorts of
We
fights.
saw it happen with Andy Ruiz, didn't we?
It happens. Like no one got happier than Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
Look at that heading
Lara,
into that Joshua rematch. It
When he
happens.
fought Wood.
Fighters suddenly, they can go to not on nicer holidays, eat nicer food, go to nicer places, and it can change you. Martin Bacoli is not the same hungry fighter that he was when he turned over. None of these superstars really are. You have to have something special about you to still have that same hunger.
And this is what we're seeing. I was thinking, because we're going to pass the mic around to us in the crowd. But
Yeah,
obviously
that's my fault. It's my fault.
Oh, was it? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, that, like Ellie said to me afterwards, we were meant to do questions to the media. I just thought it was probably time to wrap it up. I thought it was done. I don't think they had much more to say, but sorry about that.
Well, it's all right, because I was going to say to Kakachi, he was saying that this is just another fight. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, it's just another fight, but you're fighting to defend your belt. Somebody that's potentially been inactive, but somebody that is hungry. How hungry are you, Anto Kakachi, to get this win? And that was going to be my question, because I felt like, yeah, he's going to put on the performance, he's going to do this and that, but that hunger, like you said, sometimes it leaves you when you get to a certain level. That is what I wanted to question him on. You've spent more time with him. What's the feel that you get from both boys, from Kakachi, from Wood, as they go into this weekend's blockbuster of a showdown in Nottingham?
Yeah. Look, I've asked Kakachi about that before as well. Actually, in the first after the first press conference, we did an interview, because he is now in a different place. He was always that hungry guy who couldn't quite get the fight, always never got his chance. It was passing him by. Boxing kept slapping him around the face, and he just had to take it, and that made him hungry, right? But the streak that he's on now, he's beating guys that he...
Cordina?
He's beating guys that he probably at one point never thought that he'd even get to fight. And he's getting to fight them, and he's beating them. And there was one point when he was training for the Michael Magnesi fight where he'd set up camp and he was living in a caravan. That is a different level of hunger, where you're completely isolating yourself away, zoned away. I believe for this one, he's experiencing the finer things. He's had a little bit of warm weather training and whatnot. And I said, does that kind of change the hunger? Does that change the mentality? And he said, no, because it's in me. It's just in me.
Okay.
So that would be my kind of statement on Kakachi. I think the hunger, he says anyway, is consistent. Sometimes you can see it in his eyes. I can see it in his eyes. Lee Wood has been an interesting one in the build-up to this fight, because I'm hearing him talk about seeing the finishing line.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not sure what I think when I hear that. When he's talking about, he can see the finishing line, and also he's conscious of the amount of punches he takes and the amount of punishment he takes, and how grueling these fights can be. So I talked to him about that earlier. I said, when did that change? Because that wouldn't have been your mentality at the start of your career.
No, I've spoke to him here a couple of years ago, and that definitely wasn't his mentality.
So something has happened which has made him think about this, made him think, don't want too many more hard fights. What does that affect his mentality heading into Saturday? Does that mean he's not prepared to go to as dark a place as Kakachi is? I don't know, but it was just something that kind of flagged with me.
Interesting. I want to speak about Ezra Taylor. Going up against Troy Jones. Ezra confident as ever.
Yeah.
I was questioned him about him changing his trainer to Malik Scott and his reasoning behind that. And I also asked Malik Scott about it. What was it about Ezra? What are your thoughts on Ezra? And by no means am I sitting here writing off Troy Jones because he can scrap and he's coming to win.
Yeah.
And you saw them both switch onto Louis Ebenson after saying we'd both batter you anyway, which I thought was quite humorous.
That was good.
Like those tag teaming, they're fighting each other, but they're tag teamed against another fighter. But your thoughts on Ezra? I know he's your home fighter, but be as impartial as you can, Dev, because you're not known for being biased at all, are you? I can't even say anything.
Where are you getting this from?
I can't even say anything because I'm just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, he looks like the total package. He looks 10-10, right? I'm looking at the record, 11-0, 8 knockouts. He's unbeaten. He hits very, very hard. It looks like he's got a bit of Nottingham behind him. He's a character. He lights up press conferences. He lights up interviews. He can rap. He looks really good. You'll testify to that. Good-looking fella, right?
They all are.
But he's really good looking.
Frank's the best looking one to me.
I agree.
Uncle Frank.
I agree.
Yeah.
Shout out Uncle Frank.
Shout out.
But Ezra, I mean, just like he looks like a superstar, right? And I'm liking this whole LA thing that he's got going on.
Yeah, he's got that. He's like, yeah.
But you're unsure of it. I know.
I
watched your interview where you appeared unsure. I like the idea.
You do?
Yeah, because it's Hamza Shiraz kind of style of.
But he's come back to Andy Lee. He's come back to Andy
But
Lee.
did he improve as a fighter over there? Did he go up a level? I'd say Hamza went up a level. I mean, he went there actually before any adversity in his career.
True.
He went over to LA and
True.
You know, sometimes it's just taking yourself away from home. Just put something in a fighter. I've seen it with Amir Khan over the years as well. You know, he left the UK, went over to LA. Freddie Roach, Wildcard Jim, made a man out of him.
Joel Joyce, Ishmael Salas.
Yeah, I feel like this LA experience is making a man out of Ezra Taylor.
Okay.
I like that he's mingling with guys like Alexander Gvozdyk. You wouldn't get to spar him if he's over here in
He
Birmingham.
did say that. Yeah.
Like he's getting to spar Gvozdyk. He's one of the best light heavyweights in the world. So he is putting himself in positions to learn, and I love that. And I think we could well see the rewards of that on Saturday night. But you're bang on about Troy Jones, unbeaten, fancies it, English champion, and look, he doesn't know how to lose, and he knows Ezra. They've sparred together,
Correct.
and yeah, really looking forward to that fight, mate. Just as much as the main event, to be honest.
I could talk about the other fighters on the card, but there's so much going on. I just want your thoughts on last week. We were at the press conference for Usyk Dubois 2. I was a couple of seats away from young George Fox, Don Charles's son. And I think you guys probably captured it when I thought, I think I'm going to get my phone out for this. And I started filming, but it was worth it. Now, you've been around Usyk for a bit now with the fights that he's had. I just want your opinion, because to me, and if I'm not saying he has got no right to be, he can do what he wants. He's the undisputed heavyweight world champion. Was he rattled, Dev? Was he rattled, or is that just Usyk? And I'm asking that because you've been around him more than I have, and you've been behind the scenes, and you'll see things that we don't.
I've done a few of his press conferences now. It actually started with the first Usyk Dubois fight. They did the presser in London. I've done the Fury.
There, yeah.
Yeah, I've done the Fury undisputed ones that they've done like in London and then in Riyadh as well. And he's a tricky character. He's tricky to get anything out of at a press conference. You ask him what he thinks about Tyson Fury saying this, he'll say, I don't think about Tyson Fury. You ask him,
so it's like closed answers.
He's got sort of closed answers. You won't get much out of him. But this time we did.
Yeah.
Because this time
he was instigating almost. He was starting it off. This is what I'm saying, Dev.
He did. His team came prepared with photos and whatnot.
Everyone had pictures that day, to be fair.
But what Usyk probably has never had happen to him before, certainly recently, is he's at a press conference and he's got the trainer, Don Charles, over there calling him a cheat, calling him a con man. He's got George Fox over there, who he'd had a bit of a back and forth with the day before, where they ended up talking about a potential street fight. He's got him, George Fox, going at him, questioning his integrity, essentially.
So two sides, it's coming from both sides, yeah.
And then he's got Daniel Dubois over there, who's got this newfound confidence, who's saying that Usyk's legs will do a funny dance at Wembley Stadium. That's, you got to talk. And he did talk. And he talked about, I'm ready to fight now, about the George Fox thing, I'm ready to go now. And he had to defend himself. He had to come clap back at,
Do you like that?
Don Charles.
Do you like
I loved
that?
it. I loved it. He said ultimately...
Because he's quite nonchalant usually, isn't he?
Well, he goes, look, I think it's a line that was probably lost in the presser. He just, yeah, but I ended the fight with a jab.
We
He
heard
said
that. We heard that.
He said this, and look, that's him biting back a little bit. I think ultimately my summary of this is, I've never seen Usyk behave like that at a press conference. Does it make any difference? Probably not. But if you ask Don Charles will say mental warfare actually starts at things like this, and these are all little incremental edges that can have an effect. We'll see.
Finally, I'm going to ask you about Fabio Wardley going up against. We've got this Queensberry matchroom thing again. Fabio Wardley going up against Justice Huni, which I thought it was a bit odd because Justice is quite young in boxing, in his boxing career. I thought they might have thrown maybe Lawrence Okoli in there, something a bit more daring. But I understand that you fighters are on a trajectory and you're probably going to keep them apart for a little bit of time. But talk to us about that fight. I don't know.
You said a word there, daring, right? I think this is a hard fight. I really do. I mean...
Potential for an upset. Do you reckon it's that hard, Dev?
Justice Huni, this is, again, it's going to be one of those where everyone will point to the pedigree, the amateur pedigree of Justice Huni, of a Fabio Wardley opponent, and say, he's done all of this as an amateur, Fabio white collar fights and whatnot, and, you know, Fabio's had the fights with Fraser Clark, and the first one, it was a draw, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was a beautiful fight. I enjoyed that fight so much.
Right, so if you're in the Justice Huni camp, you can say that the first time Fabio Wardley went up against someone with so much stupendous amateur pedigree, he struggled. Of course, Wardley showed that power and found the punch in the second fight to just get him out of there. That's what Wardley's got. He's him and Dubois are the heaviest hands in the heavyweight division right now. But I think Huni is there's a reason they've taken this fight.
Okay.
They will fancy it. Like you got to think of.
I'm looking at the vision. I'm looking.
You got to think, like Eddie and Matchroom right now, they haven't got a whole load of heavyweights like they used to. It's AJ, and AJ's it's going to be super fight whatever he does, right? Johnny Fisher's in tough against Dave Allen.
Yep.
It's Justice Huni.
And Terramona.
Yeah, but in terms of the level, Justice Huni is ahead, right?
Oh, yeah, he is.
I'd say he's probably he's the one behind AJ.
Okay.
Would you go with that in terms of the Matchroom heavyweights? There's Johnny Fisher.
Matchroom, yeah.
So that's an important kind of heavyweight for Eddie.
Okay.
And he's sending him in to Ipswich against a fighter that he knows. He's promoted Fabio Wardley a lot.
Yeah.
I just think they fancy it, and I think at this at this presser when they do all come together, I think Eddie will explain why I think they really fancy it. But I'd still make Fabio Wardley a favourite. I think he can knock anyone out right now, and he's
so unpredictable.
Yeah, and he keeps improving. He just keeps getting better, and he just seems at the peak of his powers right now, and he could be a heavyweight champion in waiting. I just think it's a really good fight.
Okay. And finally then, how have you found getting your feet under the table or settling in with working with your new broadcaster, Dazn? Maybe it seems like a cliche question. I'm sorry if you've answered it 1,000 times, but it's like a new dawn for Queensberry. They're at the top of the leaderboard for quite a few things. And so what's it like with, saying goodbye to the good relationship you had with TNT? And obviously Frank taking you with him, because there were people that were with TNT, that were working with Queensberry, that he didn't bring over to DAZN.
Yeah.
But you, jack of all trades, he brought you with him. So how's it going?
Yeah.
That's a personal question, really, I guess.
Look, and I'll just be honest, my situation is I was never employed by TNT Sports.
Yeah, I know.
I've been with Queensberry in various forms, doing various things for like 11 years now.
Wow.
I started at Box Nation. I'm sort of counting the Box Nation stuff.
Yeah, you've got to.
So yeah, I've always been, with Frank, and whatever was going to happen with DAZN, I was always going to be with Frank, and it's just then a case of, do they want me to do stuff to do with Dazn. Like, what do you want me to do? And
Because they are overstaffed by the looks of it, if I'm going to be honest. They've got a surplus.
yeah, I mean, I've just got to. From my perspective, it's all going well so far. I'm happy so far. I'm enjoying it, and working with Dazn in terms of like the passion that they've got for the sport is fantastic. You know, TNT Sports, previously BT Sport, was absolutely brilliant. But towards the end, you could feel it was just it's
time to go.
It was more Dazn was just putting so much in, and they were putting on all these massive shows and just investing in the sport.
Okay.
Like really going for it, and yeah, I mean it became the place to be. And
Come a long
we're
way
here
from
now.
that little old app. So I always will shout out Eddie Hearn. There was one that he took the risk. He says,
100%.
"No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run with it." When everyone's laughing at him, ha ha.
No,
And now everyone's slowly jumping on the bandwagon.
He deserves a lot of credit for that. Like he had the vision.
He had the vision
to do so, and fair play to him. And really, he's kind of opened it up, and it's almost created this kind of, or helped create this monster. Now everyone
We
wants
like
to be,
monsters.
Yeah, listen,
We like monsters.
It's become a monster of certainly boxing broadcasting, and it's a great place to be. It's the place to be.
And it's good to see that you're part of it, Dev. So what I will say to close off, so you can go and get your food, is thanks for making us laugh on Twitter. And yeah, you're doing a really good work with the presenting and stuff as per usual as well.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
You really
because
think
we
so?
need somebody to stoke the fire, and you're able to stoke the fire. Music's team was sort of critical, saying, "Oh, why are you?" Like basically saying that you were shit stirring, for a better word. I can swear on my channel, and you said because that's my job, and I like that because you stood on what you said.
I've just
You probably wouldn't have lasted in a street fight, but you stood on what you said.
Yeah, I ain't getting in no 4 versus 4. Look, I'll be honest. I'll get a lot of shit for some of the. Look at Ezra Taylor here.
Ezra says he
Look
hasn't
at
got
this
any
guy.
ego, and then he attempts to kick my camera down.
This guy.
But the attempt,
Changed.
it was the feeling that was there. You know what I'm going to do, Ezra? I'm going to block you.
Mr.
I'm going to be
LA.
really immature, and I'm going to block you.
No. Ezra, thanks for making that interesting today. Well
Yeah,
done.
thanks,
I was
yeah.
waiting. I was like, come on, Ezra's gonna, and you
Thanks, Ezra. It's all down to you, Ezra.
did. We see you.
Bye,
see you.
Ezra. Make sure you win on Saturday, Ezra.
Come on, King of Knots, and he'll punch you lots. Ezra Taylor.
Oh, we
How
like
about
it.
Come on.
And on that note,
Yeah. See you later. Yeah. All right. Do you want to
touch mics.
do the?
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.